Hello, welcome back. Now, today I've got my ENFP cousin with us, and we're just going to have a bit of a chat about, I think, maybe the influence that I've had on him as an INFP to an ENFP, but being, I guess, I'm 10 years older than you.
Yeah, so you did affect the most formulative years of my life.
I guess so. So, what are some of the ways well, like, do you have early memories of me?
No.
No.
Um,
I think, yeah, because I used to
well,
hang
it's funny
around.
because you used to do your cartoons. Well, you had your illustration novel, and I remember
Hmm.
the character Uncle Peter.
Yeah, I used to have all these short stories I would do in high school, and I would bind them together and I would illustrate them and I would go down to the farm. So I would have been like 15, 16. You would have been 6.
Yeah,
So you've got these memories of these
book a storybook. So yeah, you get like Dr. Seuss and other like children's novel, and then you get Grapoggi and Uncle Peter and like the
yeah,
cow with the piercings and the top hat. It was a whole character. There was a whole character
yeah.
like it because he later turned into a logo, right? Because he had the podcast and he turned into a logo. And so, but even as a
Should
kid,
should
you remember
should I
me.
should I bring them out?
What the character? Oh, you've still got him.
So
I must have been younger though, was I? Oh, was I? Was
this
I
this
eight?
is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, talking about this and Peanut Lord. Yeah, these are quite good. They're quite good. Like they still hold up. I like that.
All right.
Yeah,
This is
bring up the picture of the cow. I think that's a great. That's a great. I think a great first image.
so just to show, this is a picture storybook I made. I was actually 18 at the time, and there's all these different stories. But yeah, it's
Well, I'll show you like the one I remember as a kid. I see here. This is the image. Like I would remember this character.
yeah, that was these are things I was doing in my room as an 18-year-old all day long. I
Oh
was
yeah, and then
writing
then you
messed
had the
up.
super. You had the super gorilla. This is all coming back now. As see, this is like when you open up a childhood book, and you remember it. Um,
Right.
this is the gorilla driving a
That was
car.
that was a character I created called Captain Gorilla. I think
But you
that
had a whole thing with gorillas at this point.
but yeah, so if I was 18, you were 8.
Yeah. See here, this is it. I remember as a kid, right? You were reading out the story to me as like as big cousins do, and I remember this image particularly.
It's a cow chained up.
But I remember because it's the prize cow. It was the prize cow of Uncle Peter.
I guess
But
for context, we should also say William grew up on a dairy farm. So I would go down to the farm constantly from the city here. So cows were a big part of our lives, and I was getting my inspiration from your farm. And maybe I was making these stories knowing that you're my audience.
I remember the one thing you said. You said she's got like see how she's got piercings. That was the one thing you pointed out to me, and I can remember that all these years later. You just like look, she's got piercings, and it's like oh yeah, like
Show it to the camera.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, you're gonna have to close up. You can't the piercings.
Yeah. So I was very proud of that. Apparently, I don't have any.
I think you were bringing it up because it's so bizarre that somebody cared for the cow so much that they gave it piercing. But then again, we gave them because you put tags on them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the whole conversation's bizarre because he's going, how do you get milk? How do you get milk? Oh. He opened the curtain and there she was. The poor cow was strapped to the wall. Patrice, Percy exclaimed. You see, boy, the Lord of the Peanuts explained. I am a man of peanuts. Uncle Peter, my arch nemesis, is a man of milk and cheese. But I want to make peanut butter. To do that, I need milk. All I need to know is, how do I get milk out of this thing? Percy pointed to the cow's udder. Baloney! The Lord of the Peanuts yelled, and slapped Percy in the face. Well, I'll make you talk.
It's
Yeah,
weird.
that's right, because he beat him up for
So these really stupid stories I was doing, I guess they're funny. They almost seem like they're written by an ENFP in a way, even though they're written by an INFP. They're so very random, very quirky.
the Captain
Um,
Gorilla. I like him more and more now that I'm remembering him. There he is,
yeah.
riding on the Uncle Peter riding on the shoulders.
I think, yeah, when I was 18 and 19, especially 18, it was very, I
Oh,
guess,
he's
surreal.
actually he's something. I didn't realize he's bald under the top.
Oh,
Uncle
wow.
Peter is bald under the top.
It's, yeah, I'm a bit embarrassed about these stories looking back because I tried to get a lot less wacky after that. I think I was actually
But I think wacky's good. Wacky, I guess, is a very ENFP. It
Yeah.
draws the ENFP because it just keeps hitting you with the unexpected.
Yeah, and I was just leaning in so much to that, and it was just my sense of humor, and
I
I
guess
got a bit
he
darker.
installed toilets into the chicken coop, hoping that the chickens would use the toilet, and they don't. And he is very angry about it. That's right. Like it's funny, all of this coming back. Oh no,
Oh,
we
no,
don't talk about that.
no, don't talk about that one. So basically, I was always doing these, but even before that, I was like writing lots of stories that weren't as illustrated, right? So there was loads. I did I don't know, maybe 30 short stories all up, probably from the. I was about
Which I did read later, not in the early years, but I did
right.
read later. And I remember one about the promise of how good the cheese is. If the cheese isn't great, I will saw off your legs and smack you unconscious with them. So there was still wackiness. I mean, it was all wackiness in it.
Yeah, I basically was doing these stories from 14 until 19, until I stopped, and then I started doing my Moral Mouse comic. But then early on, when I got this job for a kids magazine doing this kids character called Moral Mouse, I put you in the second episode.
That's right. The
You're
dog eats the homework.
yeah, yeah, and I put William as a little kid into this actual comic, and I think I was just
Well, it's funny how it hasn't really strayed far. The comics themselves haven't strayed far from that at all, because it goes as if you simply did your homework, even though the dog actually did eat the homework. Moral Mouse comes out and says, "You're right. If you actually simply did your homework, there would be nothing. You wouldn't have to lie about your homework." And I think Moral Mouse hasn't really moved beyond that. It's funny how you've
yeah.
kept to the core.
Yeah, it is funny. I think we need to give a bit of context, but basically, when I first got this job for a children's magazine, I didn't know what to do, so I came up with Moral Mouse, and I thought, oh yeah, because the boss wanted me to come up with a character that teaches morals to kids, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. So I thought, oh, I can always just subvert it, and it's never really a moral, you know. So what happened is, I think the second episode I did is about William, and he's in school, and he hasn't done his homework. Oh no, oh no, no. What happens is
He's
William.
doing the homework, but the dog actually eats
Yeah,
and tears it
yeah.
up.
So in the comic, William's doing his homework one night, and his dog comes in and eats his homework. So then when he goes into class the next day, and the teacher's asking William, "Where's your homework?" He said, "The dog ate it, miss." And she's like, "That's the oldest excuse in the book." But then the hero Moral Mouse comes in to save the day, and he points at William and says, "William, if you didn't do your homework, you should tell the truth. Don't lie about a dog making it up." And then finally the teacher says, "William, you've got detention." And
That's the
then
end.
William looks sad, and that's the end.
So,
And
what was the
that was
boss?
a long. That was 20 years ago. That
And what
episode.
was the boss's reaction to that one?
She said nothing. The boss said nothing to that.
Did it get in the book?
Yeah, it got in the magazine, and I just kept pushing it for the next 2 years. But yeah, it was good for me because I wasn't getting any feedback, but I did have a younger cousin who was a bit of a fan of this nonsense I was writing.
I mean, yeah, I guess we were the first fans before you set it out into the wider world.
So that's basically it. So let's talk about how maybe my stories impacted the your neuroscience. No, the circuits in your brain. Do you think there's any impact?
I don't know, but it's funny that it affects me, but not. Maybe I was the right age of influence because I had
The
the
correct
others.
path.
The other siblings are too old or too young, and but
You
then
are you are
some people say we have a language,
Yeah, I think it was always there. We've got a language.
but then we did live together that one year,
We did live together, and it was absolute hell.
10 years ago,
Yeah,
nearly 10 years ago, actually. Yeah.
yeah, nearly 10 years ago, and that was hell. I don't know if you're. Leave us a note in the comments if you're an INFP who's ever had to live with an ENFP, because anyone will tell you it's a lot of drinking beer and watching TV.
Yeah, pure hell, absolute hell. And I've been so traumatized by it that I haven't stopped watching TV and drinking beer.
I guess the lesson here is that INFPs can influence ENFPs in some ways,
In some ways.
but what way would that be? How do you think an INFP? How do you think I've influenced you as an INFP in any sense?
If we go back to the books and the humor, the
Yeah.
humor from the wackiness of the book, there is how have you? I mean, it's hard to know because it's been so long since that it's now ingrained. You know, when something is normalized to such a point that I feel like our conversations are quite normal. It's only when you get somebody else. For
Yeah.
example, my girlfriend will sit and hear a conversation between us, and she goes, "What the hell are you on about?"
Yeah,
But we get it.
yeah. We're talking in our own language, but we are speaking English,
Yeah.
so it's more
It's more like because we're bringing context from all different stuff. Maybe
yes.
we're like, is that something that INFPs can do? That ENFPs do with bringing stuff from just random.
Just both of them,
Yeah,
yeah. Very similar types, really.
because we're throwing references from all kinds of stuff.
That's all it is, and it's called extroverted intuition and introverted feeling. That's all it is. So you've
Yeah.
got a deep, private, inner emotional world, but
Mm.
you're communicating through intuition and multiple ideas.
Mm.
Everything's got a frame of reference. Everything's open in a way as well.
And of course, there's like ways. I like to think that in this point that there's stuff that I've done that's influenced you.
No, there has been. I think
I thought you were just going to go no.
no. Yeah, but you were creating like this film in high school and you were really all in and you were
It's the only time I've been all in now with the film. Well, it was all passion with no knowledge. Or what's the
which I find inspiring.
Yeah, I like
Just
that
going
authenticity with that.
Yeah, I think it's very inspiring to just. Well, what an ENFP can teach an INFP constantly is just do it. Stop the procrastinating. I know ENFPs
Well, that's
procrastinate.
yeah, can I say this?
No, but ENFPs definitely take action easier than INFPs.
But in quick bursts, I think that's how it
In quick. Well, here's an example. So I was staying in Turkey with an ENFP and her cat. I kept missing flights to get out of Turkey. So
So no, you have to do it, and they took you there. Is that what happened?
no, no, that's not what happened. It was interesting. We were discussing the differences between INFPs and ENFPs, and in this situation, I couldn't make a decision on which cheap city to fly to from Istanbul.
Yeah.
And as the hours would go on, another flight would be booked out, another one would be booked out, and all of a sudden it's the afternoon, and all of a sudden you've run out of all of your choices. It's like, oh, now, and I think it got to a situation I was going to go, oh, I wanted to go to Kiev. This is just before the invasion.
Yeah.
So I was going to go to Kiev, or I was going to go to Sarajevo. And then I kept trying to choose between these two, and then both got booked out, and I had to fly to Munich. So I went and booked a hotel in Munich, and I ended up missing my flight anyway and going back to the house with the Turkish ENFP and her cat. But what happened is the next day, a similar pattern was emerging where I was just all these options and I couldn't choose. And the ENFP made this very interesting observation that the INFP, by hesitation, misses all these opportunities until they lose everything that they wanted to do because they were waiting too long.
And then it's one. You think you overthink it. Oh no, you think so much that you don't do anything.
But then she pointed out that as an ENFP, she would have chosen the first stupid idea that came up without thinking or waiting, and then she would be disappointed with her choice because she didn't wait long enough.
Yeah. Yes.
And
I've got that. I've got a story of that today. Even yesterday, driving down from Sydney to Melbourne.
yeah,
It's quite a long, boring drive.
yeah,
Uh,
10 hours.
Yeah, something like that. 10
Yeah.
hours. Yeah. And so you drive down, and it was fuck me. Who's ringing me? Oh, motion security. It's just been broken into. It's fine. No.
Okay.
So driving down, and it's like, oh god, I'm hungry. I need to pull over to a roadside stop.
Yeah,
And so I pull into the first one, which was this weird winery thing, and I just wanted a truck stop or whatever. And I pull in, and it's just this really bushy winery cafe thing, and I was like, whatever, just to have eat and go, just like not really enjoy, just to eat something, get a coffee and go.
yeah.
And of course, just down the road, like not even 5 minutes, exactly when I wanted, just roadside.
Oh, but you didn't.
But it was too late, yeah.
Yeah.
If I waited and I just didn't go on the thing. But the thing was, I was like skipping so many beforehand that there was barely any in between. And then suddenly, yeah, well, see, I mean,
I mean, it's not a sin, but
not a
it's
sin.
it's an example, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's something I would do as well. I guess it depends. But in general, I tend to miss a lot of opportunities all the time, even if I'm
But
driving.
if you and I were in the car, you probably would have made me wait for the next one because it didn't look like a proper
Maybe.
stop.
I think INFP ENFP combos are pretty good actually. There's a nice like we're both crackheads, but I think in terms of the
We're refined crackheads.
refined crackheads. Well, anyway, I think we might wrap it up there. Rabbiting on a little bit, and I've got to do a meeting in a few minutes to make some money, don't I?
You do too, and I should get going. Yeah, I
Okay.
guess so.
All right. Well, I hope you've learned something. You probably haven't, but you might have. Let us know in the comments if if you can relate to anything we said. Are you an ENFP? Are you an INFP? And any message you want to give my audience? Will?
No.
No.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. They seem to respond more to you than they do to me, even in the conversations.
You don't have anything you want to say to them? Not even like a message?
Hello.
No, like a message of love?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do they want to hear? Think of what you want me to say, and think that, and pretend that I said it, and be happy with that.
I think that's a message we can all relate to.
Mm.
Thank
Yeah.
you. All right, well, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you next time.